And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very special day, the 19th day of November. Well, 19th of November, as you all know, is the White Ribbon Day. So today, there's so many things that are happening right here in Brisbane and all around. As you know, that White Ribbon Day is the day when the awareness campaign is held throughout the nation. So there's many countries. So I did organize a breakfast this morning at the new Marco Polo, which is at 140 Creek Street, and I'd like to thank them for giving us the opportunity to host our breakfast there, and it was wonderful to see many people come in and join in, including Professor Prasad, Peter, Usachendra, Steve Modashimo, and many others. So, thank you very much for joining in and supporting the cause this morning, and for all the people who have actually donated to the cause as well. So it is, and when many people are wondering how they can donate or how they can get involved. Well, I'll bring to you that screen in a minute. There's a page, Brisbane CBD White Ribbon Breakfast, hosted by Umesh Chandra Awayem, and you can go on that page and donate. And by the way, let's see if I can bring that page right up here. Well, there you are. So that's the page there. So that if you go on the page and if you scroll down, you'll come down to the donate button. If you click on the donate button, and you can donate the amount that you want. Your name and everything will appear on there. So as you can see, there's a list of name of people who have already donated. So you can go and donate there as well. So if you look at this event, which is Brisbane CBD White Ribbon Breakfast, hosted by Umesh Chandra Awayem. And in this, please support. More than halfway of my target. So if you'd like to be part, and if you would like to help and support, you can go jump on there, and you can find the link on my Facebook page as well. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll find that link. So the Brisbane CBD White Ribbon Breakfast, and if you can, as I mentioned there, if you can see on the screen, you scroll down, you hit the donate button, and you fit in your amount, and it'll probably ask you for your credit card detail. Once you fill that in, your name and everything will appear on the website as well, as having made that donation. So, if you would like to support the cause, please, you can do so by jumping on that site. Well, right now we will move on with the show and take a look at some of the messages. First of all, so Usha and Esti, who were there at the event. Okay. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much to Esti and Usha for joining us on the White Ribbon Breakfast here in CBD at Marco Polo. So, once again, thank you very much for the support. Today's White Ribbon Day. So, what's your message to the community?
Thank you so much for having us here, Umesh. I have been associated with Queensland White Ribbon for a long time, and this is the day we always mark and celebrate the day, and we try to get some funds and collect some funds. We have been doing it at Diagram Shopping Centre. It's basically awareness of White Ribbon and what White Ribbon does. A lot of people don't know what White Ribbon is, and White Ribbon is an organization led by men for domestic violence. So domestic violence for women and family violence. And we are here to support. We're having a great breakfast at Marco Polo restaurant, and it's a great morning. A lot of people surrounding here. Thank you so much for having me on White Ribbon Day.
And over to Esti.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much, Umesh, for hosting this amazing breakfast and for having me on board. White Ribbon Australia, White Ribbon Day is something that I'm very proud to be part of and also supporting. Many people don't know that White Ribbon is actually there to help others and what White Ribbon also does. the issue of domestic violence is very close to my heart because a lot of people don't know that there is a lot of different types of domestic violence. It's not just about bodily harm, it can also be about the manipulation of the mind, financial control, emotional abuse. There's so many different types of domestic and family violence, and I think it's very important for all of us to be aware that it's not just about seeing someone with scars, physical scars, but also the scars that you cannot see. And it's our job to recognize that and assist people who are going through the journey and not judge them for their choices, but actually just give them the support that they need. So thank you so much, Umesh, for hosting this breakfast. It's been amazing, and I look forward to becoming more part of White Ribbon Australia.
Thank you. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it is a great pleasure to have Professor Prasadji here with us supporting the White Ribbon Breakfast, the CBD breakfast. Once again, thank you so much for joining. And what's the message out to the community?
Thank you, Umesh. Also enlightening me about White Ribbon Day. I know very brief about that before, and thank you to opportunity also inviting us to host this breakfast. Indeed, I mean, we know physiologically and psychologically, cognitively, women are very, very strong, and they run. Look at a mother, look at a wife, look at any woman in the society. They run, take all the burdens. They're very strong in that regard. But physically, the area where they need support, I think the slogan is very clear. Women's safety is important part of men's life. It is not only good for women, but it is good for entire society. So what you're doing through White Ribbon Day, protecting women and supporting women is a honorable thing, which is the one, as I mentioned, it is not only good for women, but it's good for society, for all of us. As women, will be key part of society. I'm very happy to join this morning this breakfast. Thanks for the opportunity.
And thank you very much, Professor Prasad, for joining us this morning as well. So did many other people there. So, White Ribbon is one of the organizations who has publicly called for cohesive control to be criminalized for a range of reasons. One of the key ones being the fact that we are regularly hearing from women victims and survivor advocates who are saying that they can finally see themselves and their experience in this discrimination of intimate partner violence, who want to see an outdated law reflect that women describe the worst aspects of the violence they have experienced. So today being the White Ribbon Day, there's so many functions and events that are happening. Of course, in Carringdale Shopping Centre, we've got a display there that's happening. Caroline and Tim are there. So if you get a chance to go and support them, you can please do so. And as I mentioned before, that if you'd like to donate to the cause, you can do so as well by going to our event page and making a donation today so that we can do what we do best, which is raising awareness. So we, as the team, our duty is to raise awareness. As I have mentioned before, we are not the front-end service providers. Our role is what we did this morning was being out there in the community and raising that awareness. Well, right now it's time to get to some of the news, and let's go to Queensland Parliament House first.
Cross River Rail Station. First of all, we can confirm that there is just one new case of COVID in Queensland overnight. A returned traveller identified in hotel quarantine. They transited through Doha. They were fully vaccinated. We discharged 5 patients in the last 24-hour period, meaning Queensland has just 7 active cases of COVID-19 right now. 83.62% of Queenslanders over 16, eligible Queenslanders, have now had their first vaccination, and 72.09% have had their second. And can I give a huge shout out to the community of Doomadgee and the health workers there. They've had a fantastic result from their recent vaccination drive. 107 people were vaccinated yesterday and 82 people the day before. We're here at the Gabba Cross River Rail Station, and Cross River Rail is a massive project already transforming the entire southeast Queensland region, but its importance will only increase as we head towards hosting the 2032 Brisbane Olympic and Paralympic Games. The Cross River Rail project was critical in us securing the Games. It was a key part of our bid, and of course this precinct here from the new Cross River Rail Station through to the redeveloped Gabba will be the beating heart of the 2032 Olympic Games. So today we're announcing that next week a new interim land use plan will be effective for this precinct. Most of the planning for the priority development area here was done before we confirmed that Brisbane had the hosting rights to the Games and before we committed to that massive redevelopment of the Gabba. And so it's appropriate then that we put in place an interim land use plan that allows us to look at how the hosting of the Games as well as the stadium redevelopment will affect what can and should be developed here between now and 2032 and beyond. It will allow us to get that planning right and ensure that everything that we do between now and 2032 is all about ensuring we can deliver a fantastic Games for the world and transform our city, making it an even greater place to live. It will embed the commitments that we've made to ensure that there is public green space here as well as affordable housing so that people doing critical jobs in and around our city can also afford to live close to their work. I might ask Minister Bailey to say something more about Cross River Rail, and we have the Acting Chief Health Officer here who can also give a more detailed COVID update as well as answer your COVID related questions.
Thanks very much, Deputy Premier. Look, the Cross River Rail project will transform Brisbane and southeast Queensland, and of course the Olympic and Paralympic Games will also do the same thing. So it makes sense to integrate the planning of those two things together to ensure that the public benefit is maximised and that we have not just a great Games, but we have a great Gabba. This area has had public buildings and infrastructure on it for 150 years, but the public has never really actually had access to it. And for the first time, they will. They will have 50% open space in this area as part of this planning, and it makes sense that now we've secured the Olympic and Paralympic Games for Queensland, that we integrate the Cross River Rail project planning and station growth into our planning for the Games. It'll be a fantastic benefit for this community, and I look forward to having future announcements. The Cross River Rail project is going very well. Just south of here, the tunnel boring machine's going south, broke through 2 months early to the Bogga Road site, and we see the two tunnel boring machines going north, not very far off Dayline, coming up onto the exhibition line, and that will happen by the end of this year. So that's a very exciting milestone to see that the tunnelling process is actually drawing to a close, and that the efforts will be concentrated then on the station developments, the signalling and all those sorts of things that go in the tunnels, given that the tunnelling process is nearly done. So we're very excited about that, and this is going to be a fantastic redevelopment as an urban hub and core here in the Gabba, right next to the world famous cricket ground, but also people coming on and off heavy rail on regular services.
So that is some very good news happening there with the Cross River Rail. Of course, we know that it is an integral part of the Olympic bids, and it was something which got us probably across the line. Well, the other thing is, who would have ever thought that, one day Australia's economy would revolve around international students? Well, the manufacturing sector has sort of collapsed, meaning that it is not as vibrant as it used to be. Many of the big factories have closed. Manufacturing has become a very, very costly exercise, especially in Australia, given the high wages rate that's here. So the major contributor to the Australian economy has been the international students. So will international students return to Australia, and when will they return?
Zarona Patel is packing up to study in Canada. She came to Australia from India as an international student in 2014 and has struggled to get an accounting job since graduating.
I have been just here for 7 years and I'm fed up, like no, this is not the place for me.
Zarana says the Korean pathway to migration is also getting harder for international students.
The thing is, after a study, the opportunities are really less, that I would say, in Australia as compared to Canada.
It's a trend education agent Vaihar Patel is also seeing. He recruits international students from South Asia, and business has fallen 80% during the pandemic.
The biggest fear is that if students start liking going to those countries, and if Australia loses its position in the education market.
Australia's international student numbers have fallen by 17% to 550,000, and only 11% are now choosing to study here, compared to more than 16% in 2019. Instead, they are opting for countries like the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom.
Other countries have responded very intelligently. They've loosened up some of their work rights criteria. Their borders have been open, and if we don't keep up, we don't get students back at scale by first semester next year, it's really hard for us to maintain our position.
While universities say they're ready to welcome back international students, it's too little too late for Dorothy Zhou, who hasn't been able to return to Australia from China to finish her studies.
I've been stuck in my hometown Wuhan for almost 2 years. This is my last semester. I'm graduating in December. I can't go back anymore.
Just like Dorothy, more than 140,000 international students are currently stuck overseas. While enrollments are down 1% at top metropolitan universities, it's been a much tougher time for institutions in the regions.
Our story is very similar to most other regional universities, who have probably lost about 40 to 50% of their international students.
The Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the University of Wollongong says that's cost the uni $90 million. He's keen to get back to flying overseas to convince students to study here.
We've always done really well by recruiting face-to-face and having people in the field.
Recruiting face-to-face and trying to get the students back is a top priority, and as we know that there have been lots of talks and talks within our circle of students. We're finding that they're all finding it hard to go or get the right visas even with high points, so they have to stay on bridging visas and make other arrangements, so it is a bit of a trying time. Well, right now let's go to Northern Territory, where, which is very good news, is no new case was recorded.
After an ominous wait, the Northern Territory's health authorities delivered the promising news of no more cases, but it came with a warning.
This is good news, but it's not a day to get ahead of ourselves. We will not presume it means we have trapped the virus.
The so-called Robinson River Katherine cluster remains at 19 cases, but there are more positive signs. Health authorities say all 350 residents in Robinson River have now been tested. In fact, the testing rates across the Territory have been some of the highest on record. There were nearly 700 conducted in Katherine alone yesterday, more than 3% of the town's population.
Not really worried about it, but yeah, hope everyone's safe, their family. Sooner the better, you get tested, I suppose, for the whole community.
Extra paramedics have been sent to Katherine from Darwin and Alice Springs to mitigate staff shortages after workers were forced into isolation.
They're working in full PPE, which is very hot. So I just ask that you give them space and let them do their job.
The other good news of the day was vaccines. 2,444 doses delivered across the Territory. In Robinson River, nearly every eligible person has now had a first dose. East of
That is a wonderful news. Well, to talk to us live in the studio, please call the studio hotline. With that number is 0484279150. That number once again 0484279150, and you can talk to us directly here in the studios. Well, right now, so from Northern Territory we go to South Australia.
It's an incredibly unfortunate state of affairs here in South Australia where Premier Stephen Marshall has decided to almost literally tear up the rule book of convention that has been established over hundreds of years of our Westminster system of government and decided to ignore the Parliament's will and see Vicky Chapman, our First Law Officer, resign her commission as a minister. It is, I think, truly unprecedented, certainly unprecedented in South Australia where there has been a motion of no confidence passed in the Deputy Premier, and then everybody seems to be putting their fingers in their ears and pretending that nothing has happened, particularly the Premier himself, which of course means that today or at some point in the next few days there is every possibility that Her Excellency, the Governor of South Australia, is likely to be put in a rather awkward position where she is receiving advice from the House of Assembly that the Parliament has lost confidence in Vicky Chapman, but at the same time being told that by the Premier that she has done nothing wrong, which is a truly extraordinary state of affairs, if not a constitutional crisis.
Well, it is, at the very least, as you say, awkward for Frances Adamson, and you do point out Stephen Marshall will advise her, we're told, that Vicky Chapman should stay on. So what, should the Governor trump the Premier here? What would be your advice?
Well, look, my advice can only be to Stephen Marshall, and that is that he should exercise the function of leadership and dismiss his Attorney-General. It's important to understand why the Parliament passed a motion of no confidence in the Attorney-General. It is because a select committee of the Parliament, which did appoint independent Queen's Counsel to be counsel assistant during that process, established after hearing comprehensive evidence that the Attorney-General didn't just have a perceived conflict of interest, but an actual conflict of interest when she made a decision to reject a proposal for a multi-million-dollar investment from Kangaroo Island Plantation Timbers.
Not a good state of affairs there in South Australia, and with that vote of no confidence, well, time will tell. So we will keep you up to date on what's happening there and how it is progressing. Well, right now, let's go to Melbourne, where the Labor is calling upon the PM that he should condemn what happened in
Melbourne's been downright ugly. Noisy protesters hoisting nooses after the world's most livable city became its most locked down. The Victorian Premier and MPs receiving death threats over proposed pandemic powers.
I look forward to the day I get to see you dance on the end of a rope, you evil little...
We're a civil, peaceful society. Where we have disagreements, we don't handle them with violence, and there can be no tolerance for that.
The Prime Minister speaking to the not-so-quiet Australians.
No matter how frustrated people might be, that is never the answer.
But Scott Morrison then started walking a very fine line.
Of course, there are many people who are feeling frustrated. I mean, over the last couple of years, governments have been telling Australians what to do.
The PM suggesting he understood why so many were angry and resentful.
Now it's time for governments to step back and for Australians to take their lives back.
Well, I condemn it. There is no place in Australian public life for people threatening the lives of politicians or anyone else.
Well before the Melbourne protests, the PM and his cabinet colleagues were criticising the Victorian Premier for executive overreach. But government's never been bigger than under Scott Morrison. The pandemic demanded huge intervention, understandably too. So by empathising with Australians angered their freedoms have been taken from them, he's having it both ways.
And it seems like with Trump, Scott Morrison doesn't want to upset violent extremists. Why? Is it because he wants to curry their votes?
There just should not be any weasel words here. There shouldn't be any effort to dog whistle.
Anti-vaxxers have been strongly represented in lockdown protests, but despite more than 91% of eligible Australians getting a jab, the PM emphasised his own position.
We're not in favour of mandatory vaccines imposed by the government.
Labor states lagging behind on vaccination, questioning his motives.
He has chosen to throw his weight behind dangerous fringe elements such as those who protested here yesterday and in Melbourne.
For some at least, it's a freedom march to the next election. Andrew Probyn, ABC News, Canberra.
So, is it a freedom march or is it called for? So what is happening there? As we know that the protests have taken place not only in Melbourne, here in Brisbane as well. Well, right now it's time to get a message from our sponsors.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world. And don't forget that every Wednesday we have the real estate update with Usha Chandra right here in these studios, where she brings to you the market update, the current property trends, the prices, the yields and the returns. Well, right now it's time to go to our daily India report. And of course, as I mentioned before, if you have any burning issue and if you'd like to talk about it, give us a call on our studio hotline 0484 279 150. Right now it's time for our daily India report, and let's welcome Ankita.
Welcome to the Daily India report that brings you glimpses of the changing India and the growing engagement of the Indian diaspora with India. In our first story, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi warns against vested interests misusing openness of democracy in his keynote address at the Sydney Dialogue. Delivering the keynote address at the Sydney Dialogue, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the digital age has redefined politics, economy and society and is raising new questions on sovereignty, governance, ethics, law, rights and security. Modi said that openness is the biggest strength of democracy but warned against few vested interests misusing the openness. Modi also highlighted 5 important transitions taking place in India as he spoke on India's technology evolution and revolution at the 3-day event organized by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. The transitions include India's investment in developing indigenous capabilities in telecom technology such as 5G and 6G. Modi said India is building the world's most extensive public information infrastructure, adding that over 1.3 billion Indians have a unique digital identity.
We are building the world's most extensive public information infrastructure. Over 1.3 billion Indians have a unique digital identity. We are on our way to connect 600,000 villages with broadband. We have built the world's most efficient payment infrastructure, the UPI. Over 800 million Indians use internet. 750 million are on smartphones. We are one of the largest consumer of data per capita and have one of the cheapest data in the world.
Highlighting the fast-growing startup ecosystem of India, Prime Minister Modi said new unicorns are coming up every few weeks, which provide solutions to everything ranging from health and education to national security. Modi's address was preceded by Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison remarks, where he said that Australia and India share a deep friendship. The initiative is aimed at bringing together political, business and government leaders to debate, generate new ideas and work towards common understandings of the opportunities and challenges posed by emerging and critical technologies. India reaffirms its strong commitment to strengthening Indian Ocean Rim Association to promote peace, prosperity. India reaffirmed its strong commitment to strengthen the Indian Ocean Rim Association, the largest and preeminent organization in the Indian Ocean region, to promote peace, security and prosperity in the region as well as in the wider Indo-Pacific. Minister of State for External Affairs Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, addressing the 21st Annual Council of Ministers meeting of the IORA in virtual mode, highlighted India's contributions as coordinator of the IORA priority areas of disaster risk management. The IORA-COM was held in a hybrid format in Dhaka, and the Dhaka Communique was adopted at the end of the meeting. During the strategic dialogue on the topic Impact of COVID-19 and Perspectives of Economic Recovery in the Indian Ocean region, providing an overview of India's own experience of combating COVID-19 pandemic, MOS Singh underlined India's assistance as the first responder in the region to various countries in the Indo-Pacific during the COVID pandemic, and emphasized India's readiness to share her experience and resources in the spirit of solidarity. The Indian minister congratulated Bangladesh on assuming the chairmanship of IORA. He welcomed the Russian Federation as the new dialogue partner of IORA and also congratulated Ambassador Salman Al Farisi of Indonesia on being selected as the next Secretary General of IORA, and expressed the hope that a full-time SG would help impart fresh energy and vision to the organization. The Indian Ocean Rim Association is a dynamic intergovernmental organization aimed at strengthening regional cooperation and sustainable development within the Indian Ocean region through its 23 member states and 9 dialogue partners. The Indian Ocean, as the third largest ocean woven together by trade routes, commands control of major sea lanes carrying half of the world's container ships, 1/3 of the world's bulk cargo traffic, and 2/3 of the world's oil shipments, and remains an important lifeline to international trade and transport. India, Russia to hold first ever 2+2 ministerial dialogue alongside annual summit. The very first edition of the India-Russia 2+2 Defence and Foreign Ministry conversation may take place alongside a summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin, which is expected to take place on December 6th. Due to schedule constraints, the two parties are considering holding the 2+2 dialogue around the time of the summit. At the summit, the two sides are expected to finalize a number of agreements in the fields of defence, trade and investment, and science and technology. The summit will also announce a joint committee on technology and science, as well as refresh a framework for military technical cooperation on the next decade. Vladimir Putin is expected to visit India on December 6th for a bilateral meeting with Narendra Modi. The meeting was rescheduled last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Russia has always been a reliable partner for India and an important pillar of New Delhi's foreign policy. So far, 20 annual summit meetings have alternated between India and Russia. Both nations have a framework in place that allows India's Prime Minister and Russia's President to meet annually for a review of all ties. India and Russia have also reached the last stages of negotiating a logistics assistance agreement, which is expected to be completed at the 2+2 talks or at the summit. The mounting humanitarian catastrophe in Afghanistan, as well as the consequences of the Taliban's capture of Kabul for regional security, are expected to be significant topics at the summit. Whereas the 2+2 agreement will allow the forces of the two countries to use one another's bases for supply, repair and replenishment, as well as facilitate the expansion of overall defence cooperation. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will soon meet their Russian counterparts Sergei Lavrov and Sergei Shoigu. Jaishankar and Singh were slated to fly to Moscow in the latter week of November, but the itinerary has been changed due to the winter session of Parliament, which begins on November 29th. The two ministers were also expected to fly to Washington for the India-US 2+2 talks later this month or early December with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. However, the negotiations are now likely to be pushed out until January. Pakistan Parliament passes bill to allow Indian Kulbhushan Jadhav to appeal the conviction. Pakistan's Parliament has passed a bill to give Indian national Kulbhushan Jadhav, who is on death row, the right to appeal against his conviction in accordance with the directive of the International Court of Justice. A bill to provide for the right of review and reconsideration to bring into effect the judgment of the International Court of Justice in the Kulbhushan Jadhav case. The International Court of Justice Bill 2020 was moved by Minister for Law and Justice Dr. Mohammad Farooq Nasim in a joint session of the House. The bill was passed with majority vote. The statement of objects and reasons of the bill says the Government of India initiated proceedings against Pakistan in the International Court of Justice concerning alleged violations of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations of 24th April 1963 in the matter of detention and trial of an Indian national, Commander Kulbhushan Sudhir Jadhav, who has been sentenced to death by the military court in Pakistan in April 2017. The ICJ gave its judgment on 17 July 2019, in which it observed that Pakistan is under an obligation to provide by means of its own choosing effective review and reconsideration of the conviction and sentence of Mr. Jadhav so as to ensure that full weight is given to the effect of the violation of the rights set forth in Article 36 of the Vienna Convention. Surya Kumar Rohit guide India to a 5-wicket win over New Zealand in T20 cricket match. India beat New Zealand by 5 wickets in the first T20 international to go 1-0 up in the 3-match series. Fantastic 50s by Martin Guptill and Mark Chapman powered New Zealand to 164-6 in 20 overs. Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Ravichandran Ashwin were the main wicket takers for India. In reply, Surya Kumar Yadav's fine 50 and Rohit Sharma's important knock helped India chase the target in the last over of their innings. Rishabh Pant also chipped in with a valuable knock for the team. Trent Boult was the pick of the bowler for New Zealand. Siddharth Malhotra, Kiara Advani starrer Sher Shah set for a world TV premiere. A string of Bollywood films are being released as India emerges from COVID. Coloured Cineplex will soon host the world television premiere of Siddharth Malhotra and Kiara Advani starrer Sher Shah. The channel has created a strong lineup of shows and films for premieres including Abu Dhabi T10 League, Road Safety World Series Season 2 and regional movies. The Abu Dhabi T10 League will start from November 19 through December 4 with 6 teams in participation playing 35 matches. The world television premiere of Sher Shah is on December 19th at 12 noon and 7:30 p.m. Road Safety World Series will also make a comeback in February 2022 with Season 2. The New Year Special Festival will feature Best of 2021 along with premieres of Tamil movies like Vijay Raghavan, starring Vijay Anthony, Rudram, starring Raghava Lawrence, and Malayalam film Minnal Murli. The Abu Dhabi T10 League includes 6 teams consisting of legends like Faf du Plessis, Chris Gayle and Yusuf Pathan, among others from 20 different nations who play 35 matches in this series. Road Safety World Series is a tournament played by former cricket icons like Sachin Tendulkar, Virendra Sehwag and Yuvraj Singh and is organized to create awareness about the safety rules on the road. Sher Shah depicts the story of Indian Army officer Captain Vikram Batra, played by Siddharth Malhotra, who laid down his life during the Kargil War of 1999. In breaking news today, in a move to provide better communication network to rural areas of the country, Indian Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has approved the funding of nearly 6,466 crore rupees by Universal Service Obligation Fund for a project to provide 4G-based mobile services in 7,287 uncovered villages of 44 aspirational districts across 5 states, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Maharashtra and Odisha. The project will be completed within 18 months after the signing of the agreement around November 2023. That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report. Thank you for watching.
And thank you very much for that, Ankita. Well, right now we'll leave you with, as we know today, is the White Ribbon Day. So if you would like to make a donation, you can do so on my page, which is Brisbane CBD White Ribbon Breakfast by Umesh Chandra OYM. And that's that page. And if you scroll down to the page, you'll come to the donate button. If you click on the donate, and you can donate the amount of your choice. Remember, it is very, very, issue which is very timely, which is not limited to one community. It is prevalent in all communities. So, we'd like to get your support on today, which is the White Ribbon Day. The actual White Ribbon Day is today, the 19th of November. We know the Queensland Premier is hosting the breakfast, which is next Friday at Convention Centre. and that is a completely sold out event. So, you can take part in today's activities, and if you have, of course, the breakfast part is over, but my donation page is still open. You can log on to this page here, and as you can see, it's the Brisbane CBD White Ribbon Breakfast. If you go to my Facebook page, you will find that one, and you can, if you so wish, you can go and donate from there as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to say goodbye from this segment. It's been wonderful having your company as usual. And let's take a quick look at some of the functions and events taking place in and around Brisbane. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you today on this very special day, 19th of November, which is the White Ribbon Day. So, as we know, White Ribbon is now progressing well under the new management of Communicare, and of course we've got good support from the government and everyone for the worthy cause that is White Ribbon is all about. It's about raising awareness, going out in the community and serving the community. Well, until tomorrow, it's goodbye. So don't forget that tomorrow we have the, first off, we'll have the weekend edition in the morning. Then from 6 p.m., we have the Diwali Dhamaka, a special presentation on our Music Junction segment tomorrow at 6 p.m., where Ajay Sabi will be joining us here in the studio and presenting that wonderful show. And of course, there's a kaleidoscope of artists who will be joining in. So you'll have Usa Sibikulaji, Yusuf Ali Khan, Rahim Zullah, Chandan Das, and of course the Parminder, and of course we'll have scenes from that live concert from Sargam Music Academy. So lots and lots on offer tomorrow 6 p.m. at that Music Junction event. Well, until tomorrow, we'll see you at the weekend edition at 10, and at 6 p.m. we'll have a very special edition of the Music Junction of this month, which will feature Diwali Dhamaka. Until then, it's goodbye from me.